guys, and welcome back to At Home with Elisa. Today I wanted to give you an update on my vegetable and cutting garden. It's now 18 months old. I actually came across a photo of it, it was a year ago, so it would have only been 6 months old, and the difference is so significant. I'll see if I can find it for you, but I just loved it. You don't realize how far things come until you actually see it in a photo. But today I wanted to give you a little garden tour. I am on the central coast of New South Wales, and that is the equivalent to a US planting zone 9B. I looked that up, so I wanted to give you an update, so let's have a look around. So today is a beautiful, beautiful sunny day. It's quite windy, but it's beautiful and sunny, and I will take that because we have had unbelievable amounts of rain, and to have this is our third day of sunshine in a row, and I'm just absolutely loving it. The girls are as well. So you would have seen me working on this garden bed previously. This is the one where I'm going to put lavender and gardenias. We had to do some flood remediation works just recently. We are in our third round of La Nina, and we have had over 2.2 meters of rain so far this year, and obviously we still have a few months to go, so it has been a little bit hectic. Parts of this garden have actually washed out on multiple occasions. So as you come into the garden, this is my blueberry plant, and oh, they're just getting close. So many of them, so I need to net this week. It has to be netted this week so that I don't lose them to the birds. I lost a lot of them to the birds last year. And just here I have some glass gem corn growing. I got the seeds from a local lady, and I'm excited to see if they will actually form nice cobs. I did try growing corn last year, but the weather really interrupted the growth, so I'm excited to see what happens there. And I just have some cucamelons. From what I hear, they're quite indestructible, so I'm looking forward to trying those out. And this is quite still an empty bed. I do have quite a few seedlings which I'm hoping to get into here hopefully this weekend. But I just have a peony. I did plant some dwarf climbing beans, just to grow up this trellis here. I did plant those, but they haven't come up. Either that, or I think somebody or something must have got to them. And this is a garden bed I still haven't fixed from our flooding that we had, but I had planted 70 ranunculus, and I think I got 6 or 7 out of it. I do have another peony just here, but this is really exciting. I am a proud asparagus mama. Can you see those little asparagus coming up? That's my first ever asparagus. They take about 3 years to grow, and I'm very, very excited. And in the corner here, I just have a mandarin tree. Now this has just finished flowering, and the scent was divine. It was so, so beautiful. It's just finished flowering now, and hopefully come winter I get some really nice fruit. I did rescue this. It was in our orchard, but it got flooded, so I've put it in a pot here, and it responded really, really well to a good feed. I think citrus love a good feed. And this is another one of the garden beds that actually suffered quite a bit of flooding. I still have some roses to plant up this end here, but this is my rose and bearded iris garden. So this rose here is an ebb tide, and it is just divine. It's only a baby bush, as you can see. I've literally only planted it within the last 2 months, and I can't wait to see that one get nice and big. And over the back there, that yellow rose is actually called a freesia rose, and it is one of my favorites also. A lot of these I absolutely adore. I wanted to have this as a perennial garden. It has flooded out on quite a few occasions, and I've had to redo this mulch, I think probably about 5 times now. But I just love my roses. So this one here is an Olivia Austin. I'll show you this one. Look at that petal count. Beautiful. And my bearded iris, for those who follow me on Instagram, I'm sorry, but I can't help myself, and I just keep posting them because they're just so beautiful. Look at them. Like, look at that. It's like a work of art. It's just gorgeous. So a lot of the roses that I have here, I do have the names of them if anyone's interested in knowing any of them, but a lot of the roses that I have here are new, and some of them have actually come from our previous property. As I said, we've only been here for 18 months, and we copied quite a few that we had. A lot of them came with us. That was actually in our contract, that we were allowed to take the roses with us. This one here is a blue moon, and the fragrance is so yummy, and it puts out so many flowers. And look at this one. Look at the colour. I actually just posted this one because I love the colour of the orange and the purple. It was beautiful flowering yesterday, but it's gone now. And some yarrow. I just put some yarrow in because I had way too much of it. And look at this beauty. So I generally have certain colour schemes that I follow in my garden, but roses are allowed to do whatever they want to do because they're just too pretty. And this one here is called an RSL rose, and it's quite deep and purple, but then underneath there it's quite pale. It's really interesting. They're a deep burgundy. So that's the rose garden that leads down the side. Then if I scan over, don't want to go too fast and make you dizzy, we have our urn garden. So let's have a look at the urn garden. Look what I just found. I think maybe tomorrow. That one might be ready tomorrow. Do. So in this garden bed, I have some garlic in the middle, which are doing really well. I have a lot of carrots, which my carrots are actually, I'm letting them go to seed because one, I just want to see what this flower looks like. But I have so many carrots in my freezer. I can't eat as many carrots as I planted, so I'm learning a little bit about the quantities here. But around the outside of the carrots, I actually have strawberries the whole way. So all the way around the bed is strawberries, carrots in the middle, and garlic. Then we have our beautiful fountain, which is actually just used as an urn at the moment, and it looks so pretty for night time. We put a little light there, a little spotlight on it, and it's just gorgeous. So this pattern here, I think it's like cherry blossoms or something. The pattern's actually repeated on two sides, so we have the light shining on the other side of it, and we can see it from our house of a night time, which is just so pretty. And then I have some gaura, which is otherwise known as a type of butterfly bush. So these are just coming in. They love summer. So come summertime, there will be a mass of these beautiful flowers up about here, and they will just flower and flower for months. They're like butterflies dancing in the wind. I love them. Ooh. Can you see what I see? That's exciting. Okay, that one's not gonna make it. Please excuse my filming while I eat a strawberry. That was yum. There's something about strawberries growing in the sun that makes them so yummy. Then as we go across here, this was an experimental garden. So I planted it out with all seeds. It's what I call my seed only garden. The reason being is that I've seen probably about 10-15 centimeters of water sheer across the whole top of the garden here. It does flood when we have torrential rain, so I need to only do seeds in it. I planted my first ever crop of peas, which as you can see are just on their way out. I will end up picking those all this afternoon, and hopefully some of them make it up to their house. Peas grown in the garden are one of the most beautiful snacks a gardener can ever have, and I will always be growing peas from now on. But I have learnt, one, I overplanted and I've got powdery mildew because I overplanted, and two, I also learnt that don't plant something where you need to access and harvest it in the middle of a garden bed, because when you do that, obviously you're trampling over things around the outside of it. And around the outside, I just ended up planting some flowers. So I started with high flowers at the back, cosmos. Then I have some straw flower, which are coming in. And I also planted in some zinnias, and the zinnias just The zinnias are just there, but they just didn't take off very well, and I think it's just because we have had so much rain. As I said, we are having like unprecedented amounts of rain this year, and with so much rain we literally just haven't had sunshine. So this is our third day in a row of sunshine and I'm absolutely loving it, but the plants haven't been able to get the strength that they need, I think. And this one here is called a poached egg flower, and it will grow quite big and will end up being a beautiful big mass of those bright cheery flowers, which I can't wait to see. And just over my arbor here that I am growing sweet pea Valerie Harrod, which is a beautiful, beautiful pink. So that's the sweet pea Valerie Harrod. They will continue to flower prolifically. They've just started now. And this garden bed, as I make my way back to the gate that I came in, I've got some yarrow, which is kind of taking over. It's grown a little bit bigger than I expected, but that's okay. I might just have to rejig the garden a little bit. So I have some pink and white Ostromerium. I have more yarrow. I have some Dianthus jolt. I have lupins here and I have lupins there, which I'm yet to see flower. So I sowed these seeds 2 years ago. This is their second year now, and I cannot wait till they actually flower. So they're a being patient kind of thing, which I'm not usually good at. I have some more yarrow flowering, and look at that Ostromerium. Isn't that just so beautiful? So this came as a little cutting from our old house, and I'm so glad we actually went out of our way to bring it. So that's all the outside garden beds of our beautiful garden area. I'll explain that bit up the back very shortly. But let's have a look at this in here. I kind of went a little bit heavy-handed with the sweet peas. So I have some spring onions which are clearly going to seed, but I kind of wanted to see what they look like going to seed. I'm still new to vegetable gardening and I'm still learning a lot, so I kind of wanted to see it in its full life cycle. But it's very, very exciting looking at it all. I also have some celery plants. Now I have 3 on this garden, these 2 garden beds actually with this arbor here, they actually mirror each other. So I have 3 celery plants. 3 celery plants on each side is probably a little bit too much celery for our family. So you live and you learn. I do have some silver beet coming up, which I'm loving. My anemones are just about finished. But aren't they sweet? So it's getting to the point where I'll actually be digging up all of my bulbs, spring bulbs, and that very, very soon. I usually do that in November. So I will dig those up. Can you see that little native bee in there? I will dig up my spring bulbs very, very soon, and this will be one of them, and store them for next year. So I just have some cute sweet alyssum and some violas, which is doing really, really well. I have some garlic here, and it was actually planted the whole length of this garden across here, and I actually think it's rotted out. As I was saying before, we have had so much rain and these looked really healthy, but look, can you see some of those are dead in there? So the only thing I can think of is that the drainage wasn't very good in this garden. These ones here seem to be doing all right, but the ones maybe were overtaken by other plants have not done so well, and the garlic's rotted. So learning for next year. Aren't these just stunning? I love that they're climbing up here. I love that I've got this area here that hopefully gets completely enclosed with sweet peas, and I also have a passion fruit planted, and I have a choco vine as well. But this is my lovely little seating area here, and that's why I'm hoping that it will be shaded at some point, because I don't have any shade. It's a new garden, I don't have any shade in this garden at all. One thing I did notice actually this week is my choco vines. So my father-in-law gave me 3 choco seeds last year. Only one of them survived all the rain, and look at it coming on. so it will actually take over. They're quite prolific, and I can't wait for it to take over and give me some shade under here. And as I said earlier, this is the other garden bed. I do have some cornflower which has come up, which is really pretty. As I said, I really did go a bit heavy-handed with the sweet peas, so lesson learned. And obviously a few too many celery plants, which clearly I need to harvest because that looks like it might end up going to seed. So I best get on that, I think. So these anemones here were a mix of colour anemones, and clearly they are just starting to die off. I haven't deadheaded anything as yet. I'll be spending the afternoon in the garden, but I just wanted to show you what it looks like prior. And my gerbras, I love the gerbras, they're just beautiful. And one thing I did notice yesterday, I'm not sure if you can see it, but I actually have a dahlia. So I overwintered a dahlia in the garden, just left it in the ground just to see if it would work. And sure enough, that is a dahlia, and that is actually my favourite dahlia. It's the only one I was really hoping would survive. So I'm not sure if there's any more that have survived as yet, but I'm very excited to see that one. It's dahlia cornflake. I'll see if I can put a photo on. So that covers the part of the garden which is actually built, which is probably about half of the garden. And then I have this large area here which I have been trying to weed control. Just like the front garden beds follow this direction at the front there, I'm hoping to do 3 slightly smaller garden beds going this direction, coming out from this main urn one, and hopefully I can get those done soon. I am hoping to put some weed matting down very shortly, so the weather's definitely slowed things down for me. And I just have this area here of just pots. Some of these are landscaping, some of these are bulbs that have just about finished. We had some peach trees that were given to us by a friend, a rose that I haven't planted yet, some 2 tuckaroos which are Australian native plants that we want to use in our landscaping. They're actually trees. Just all different sorts of plants that I don't want to put on the ground. I like to keep them up here because I know that they won't get flooded here. And this area here with all the rocks is actually where our water catchment comes out. We have a water catchment on our property, and it captures all the water basically from a few properties, and it slows it down before it washes away very fast. But you can see we've actually had some sun. I've got some algae there, but that's just some standing water, and it drifts back into here. It leaks through and it follows down here and it goes downstream. So we have a creek that it feeds into, and will go into the local waterways from there. So obviously when it came to actually working out how to do the garden beds in this garden, I really had to consider that. This back garden bed here, I was hoping to already have it planted with a beautiful big teepee and some beautiful big sunflowers at the back, and I really wanted, there's a fence there, I'm not sure if you can see it on the camera, but there is a fence at the back, and I want to screen that in with star jasmine. But I was actually hoping to have that already planted, but the weather has really slowed us down. We're unable to get any trucks with supplies in at the moment, just because the way that they have to get to this area of our property, they would have got bogged. So it just hasn't worked out the way we had planned, but that's okay, we've got all the time in the world anyway. And I absolutely love that all the liquid ambers, these are on our neighbour's property, all these liquid ambers, we adore them. I definitely really wouldn't want them on our property because they can be a little bit of a problem tree, but they are stunning when they become green again. They've been bare for so long, they're lovely and green, and then just when you kind of get bored with them being green, they turn those beautiful shades in autumn, and it's just lovely. So this garden bed back here, I have seen it flood, so therefore it will be obviously just a little bit high. So I'll put that wood around the outside of the garden bed and we'll plant in, which will be a little bit higher, and we'll give it a little bit of protection just in case we do flood again. Realistically, the weather that we've been having shouldn't continue on for much longer. They're predicting that it should be over hopefully by Christmas. and this is the newest section of the garden area. As you can see, I have on the other side of that fence there, I have our composting systems, but just out here I have some plants that people have given me. I can't keep this one upright. I have some plants that friends have given me, family have collected for me. I also have some seedlings I'm just hardening off as well. And in here currently my greenhouse is essentially acting as a shed because it is way too hot at the moment to actually grow anything in there. It will die. So I always knew when I actually had this greenhouse that I was going to be using it as a shed for just the summer months, and it's coming in really handy anyway, as you can see by all the mess in there. My grand plan when it comes to this shed and even this potting area over here is to actually have a large structure over the top of it, and I'll have an arbor which has a grapevine growing over it, and I'd love to have a little dining table and chairs here just so that we could actually eat dinner or lunch down here. So that's the grand plan going forward, but everything has to happen in stages, of course. So just here, I think I'll probably end up putting some nice long benches here and just having like seasonal displays. So obviously my spring bulbs are just about coming to an end, which is fine. That's not a problem that happens. I will end up repotting them with something different, but I like having just the benches here. And this bin is actually just a place marker. I was trying to work out if I want to put a large pot with like a fruit tree in that. So it's kind of helping me visualize if I want to have a large pot there. But this area just back here is what I call my utility area. As you can see, rainwater collecting. I just had an old table that I was given, and I leave the buckets out all the time and collect all the rainwater. We have our worm farm. I've been killing the grass off slowly, and I'm hoping to just mulch this area in here, but I have all my tools. I have a little bench that I can pot up at, and we have our water. So we have this water system and it is fantastic. It allows me to actually pump. There's a pump underneath there. It allows me to pump out the water onto the garden. One modification I did have to make when it came to the greenhouse, we had our first storm and we lost quite a few of the panels. So we had a storm warning for 90k an hour winds, excuse Eugene in the background there, but we had a storm warning for 90k an hour winds, and you can see I've actually taped it down. So I used some tape along those 1, 2, 3 sections on both sides just to make sure that the roof actually stayed on, and it worked a treat. So I think I'm actually going to leave it that way because we do get really strong winds up here. We're on top of a mountain, so the wind can be very, very strong. So thank you so much for joining me in the garden today. I've really loved showing you around. I'm so happy with where the garden's at this point. As I said, it's only 18 months old, but it just brings me so much joy already. I can't wait to see, oh, excuse the native bees. I can't wait to see what it's going to be like in, the 3-year mark. It'll be absolutely stunning. So hopefully it will be finished by then, and I'll maybe know a little bit more about growing vegetables probably. That'd be nice. But thank you so much for joining me today. If you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing, and I hope to see you next time.